All right, aloha friends. Game time with the Goss. Hopefully you're enjoying your Wednesday. Another episode here brought to you by GM Sports Media and Get Recruited websites. Today's guest, happy to be joined with Megan DeGroot, head volleyball coach at Argyle Liberty Christian and defending TAPS 5A state champs from last year. First off, thanks for joining me, Megan. Uh, you know, you kind of sometimes you get that transition period with a coach and a new team. And obviously, again, you taking over Liberty Christian for the first time last season, but you guys were able to go 31-9. Win a very tough TAPS bracket and win a championship in your first year. Just how were you able to do that?
To be really honest with you, it was quite a whirlwind taking over. I didn't meet the girls, meet my coaches, anybody until August 1st at 5 a.m. when I walked in. Um, when I took over the job, it was like 2 weeks before tryouts. I think I got a call. I was actually on the beach. Coach Mays had called me and they were looking for a coach. And I'd been out a year and um, really missed it. And so it was a great opportunity. But as far as winning it is concerned, I think I went into it with a different mindset than I had gone into any other coaching gig before. Um, I didn't put as much stress on myself and didn't put as much, I guess, really stress on the players. They understood the assignment, to be honest with you. And I had a lot of kids that are like minded, like me, very determined, super competitive. I didn't have a single problem the entire season with the girls as far as understanding what I was asking them to do. And it didn't take a lot of time for them to adjust to me. I think Kim Grizzle, who I, took over, she had retired. She and I were fairly similar in our expectations as far as effort was concerned. The things I may have been asking them to do offensively, I think they were really ready for that. It was very similar to what they're doing in club. So it really there wasn't a lot of pushback. They went with the flow. And like I said, I can't attest to how good these kids are because I just took over the program. So really and truly, I mean, it was Coach Grizzle. Had she been here, she might have been the one to win the state championship. So although I will definitely take a part of it, a piece of the pie, I will say that a lot of it had to do with those kids and Coach Grizzle prior before me.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely that transition period for the first couple of months, I'm sure. But when did it start to feel like you guys were clicking and you're thinking, okay, yeah, this could be a special year?
I would say, let's see, we went to the Allen tournament and we didn't have Naya Salfidi for the first 20 games. And that was to a very interesting injury. Her kneecap came out of place after, they were doing the kidnapping of the new varsity members and she had just jumped out of the car and her kneecap went out. So of course we didn't have her for the first 20 games. And so it was hard to kind of see like, how is this going to work when she gets back? Because we were starting to get into a groove. So the Allen tournament was good as far as playing some tough competition. I mean, we played Plano West and um, we held our own for the first couple points. But then after that, it was pretty tough. But we ended up finishing out pretty well in the gold bracket. And then I would say the first game back that Naya came was Argyle when we played Argyle here at home. Went to 5, of course, and we won, which was a really fun game to say the least. It's super competitive from both sides. A lot of emotion on the court, obviously, because those were some of my prior kids, and then obviously my new team, and that was her first game back. And I will say that's all it took was one game, and it's like she never had left, and we clicked. And from then on out, it was like we were steamrolling, and every day would come into practice just as competitive as they were playing in games. They knew they had their eye on the prize, but they made sure to focus one game at a time and one practice at a time.
Awesome. Yeah, just we like to get to know our guest, and for anyone listening or watching, before Liberty Christian, you're the head coach at Argyle. You're an assistant at Salt Lake Carroll. But yeah, just kind of talk about your volleyball background.
So I graduated high school from Southlake in 2006 and then went on to play at Louisiana Monroe collegiately. After that, I moved home, started coaching and teaching. I was just doing middle school at first. Then Ryan Mitchell over at Southlake, where he was at Southlake at the time, hired me to be an assistant over there. And then I also was the head track coach there as well. And was there for about 2 years. Um, God has a funny way of working things out, and the Argyle job came open, and that's one of the only places I said I would ever move. Um, and then I got a call from their AD and was there for 4 years. Took a step back for about a year to be with my little kids and kind of reevaluate what I wanted to do. We have a little farm, so I had a lot of things to take care of with my two kids and a farm and all the things, and my helping my husband run his business. Missed it a lot, and again, God has another funny way of working things out, and got a call from Coach Mays here, the AD, about 2 weeks before August 1st, and I haven't looked back since. And I enjoy the fact that I had that year off with my kids. I'm still at home during the day. I'm just coaching here at Liberty. I don't teach, so I've kind of got the best of both worlds, and I just get to coach. My kids go to school and I watch film, so I'm super analytical, so it kind of works out that way. I mean, you've probably heard this before. Coaches aren't in it for the money. They are in it because they love the kids and they love the sport. And it's just worked out that way for me to be able to do what I'm passionate about for the last 25 years.
What position did you play?
So in high school, I played middle and right side. I thought I was tall. And then I got to college and I definitely was not. I'm only like 5'10". And when I got to college, I ended up playing outside and libero. Completely opposite.
How far did you guys make it at Salt Lake?
In Southlake, we ended up losing basically either I would say the third round every time to Arlington Martin, every time. And or Lamar, one of those Arlington schools. And it's funny because all those kids I ended up playing like club with. And so I was really good friends with them. I know the one year, I want to say my senior year that we lost, Martin ended up winning winning the state championship that year. I don't know if you remember Vicky Mundell or Lauren Otto.
2005, I think.
Maybe it was it was to that fall of 2005. But
Yeah.
Lauren Otto. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those girls, and it was just like, I mean, I'm happy for them. Obviously, I'm over it now. I got my ring, so. But yeah, that's with Southlake. They've never won a state championship in volleyball. The furthest that I feel like we ever got was, I think it was 2016 when I was coaching under Coach Mitchell, and we made it to the regional finals, and then we ended up losing. We were playing at Glen Rose. I don't remember who we ended up losing to, but we ended up losing. And
at the time.
You know what? You're right. I actually believe you are right.
That's when Hebron had that stretch.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You coached track too, huh? At Salt Lake. I don't know if I mean they're winning titles now. I mean, was it that way always?
Yeah, we did pretty good. I mean, we went to the state. We were there with Reed. I mean, he was obviously on the boys team. Reed Brown, he was one of the kids that ended up going to Oregon and running country. I had a couple of girls go to state for the let's see. I want to say we went for the 4x2. But I was only that head coach for 1 year there. And then when I went to Argyle, I ended up coaching sprints there and took a couple of kids to state with the 4x4. And I wasn't the head coach, I was just a sprints coach, but on the 4x2 and the 4x4, a couple of hurdle kids. So I grew up running track and playing basketball and volleyball all through high school on top of club. I look back now and I'm like, I have no idea how I did it all because I look at these kids and it's impossible for them to do 3 sports. So one of two things happened. Either I never slept or my parents just, they literally were Ubers, I guess. I had a little brother who played football at Southlake as well. So I'm like, how did y'all get to everything?
Awesome. Just an all-world athlete, I guess.
At the time, yeah. I wouldn't make it anymore. These kids they're bred differently now. Yeah. My own child, I look forward to one day I'm coaching her. She's only 10, but she's almost as tall as I am at 10. And my dad and my husband and everybody else, they've all played college ball, football. And so it's in our blood for sure. I will say that. But yeah, I don't know that I'd be able to hang in this day and age.
Talking to Megan DeGroot, head volleyball coach at Liberty Christian in Argyle. I've been asking coaches this. I know it's tough to pick one. If you do, great. But if you name several, great as well. Just best player you've coached.
Not as a head coach. I had kind of mentioned this earlier under Coach Mitchell. Asia O'Neal was a really fun player to watch. At the time, you don't know kids are going to be as great as they end up being because they're in high school. Anything can happen. They can end up getting burnt out and end up quitting. But with Asia, it was really fun to see her athleticism and her drive starting as, I want to say it was a freshman, or she might have been actually, I want to say it was a sophomore when I moved over there. And it was just really fun watching her. I didn't have a ton to do with as far as coaching her is concerned. I wasn't really responsible for the middles under Coach Mitchell. I was more responsible for defense. But it was fun to kind of watch her progress. Her and Haley Hallgren and Sutton McTavish, Mackenzie Nichols,
Yeah.
watching those kids. I mean, Abby Carlisle barely played as a junior and a senior on the bench at Southlake, and then went to UAB and then came over and played at TCU. And I actually started coaching her when she was 12, and then I was at Wiley and then had moved back over to Southlake. So she's been around for a long time. I still talk to her here and there, kind of just to check in. It's just, you don't realize how good they are until they leave. They're good while they're there, but then when they leave and you start seeing it on social media and you start seeing how well they're doing in college, you're like, holy smokes. I've had a lot of kids, even at Argyle, that great athletes decided not to play because it just wasn't a passion for them. But someone like a big name, I would say Asia for sure so far. Reagan was a big one this past year. I can attest to how good she is. Has really nothing to do with me. It has a lot to do with herself or her drive. Coach Grizzle, her coaches before me, club coaches, obviously. So, but it's fun to say that I was a part of that journey and I did get to coach her because she's going to do great things at Houston. It's something that I was telling some of my other seniors, that each year that I graduate as senior, they have shirts with their names on the back, or if they have a signing day, I keep one of those shirts and I'm making one of those. I'm not making it because I'm not crafty like this, but I'm having someone else make it. One of those t-shirt quilts with all the seniors that I've graduated, whether they go play or not, but seniors that I've been a part of their journey and watched them graduate. I was fortunate at Argyle to have a group of seniors that I got to coach from freshman all the way, sophomore through their senior year. Cassidy Reeves, Mariah Hesselgesser, Kylie Lavelle, they went on and played. And unfortunately, Cassidy played all 4 years at Arkansas State. But as far as that's concerned, I think it's the type of player that I enjoy. And I won't say the type of player, the kids that I've been able to coach, it's really, it's different every year. I would say the dynamic is entirely different every year. I've only been lucky enough to have a set of girls that I've got to coach for, 3 or 4 years at a time. So I'm hoping, being here at Liberty, I'm not going anywhere, that I will get to watch these girls grow and graduate them this year, next year, year after that. Eventually my kiddo, I'm a part of the middle school program here too, watch them as well, help graduate them, get them on somewhere that they want to play.
Yeah, Asia O'Neal just was incredible. I was kind of just starting out, and I'd watched volleyball before, but it's different covering it. Just watching her is just drop my jaw. Yeah,
USA, and it's so cool. Like, I'll sit there and we watched her on television the other day, my daughter, now that she's into volleyball. And I'm like, hey, mommy used to kind of coach her. And she was like, what does kind of mean? I said, well, I was like, I wasn't the head coach, but I was, a part of the program with them and helping Coach Mitchell. And she was like, well, she's really good. Can I be that good? And I was like, if you listen to your coaches, maybe you can.
Yeah.
AKA if you listen to me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
she was district MVP, All American. She just won national title with Texas. It's kind of wild to think because I know she's gone through some injuries and COVID that
mhm.
she's still playing at this long. Like we're like I don't know, she graduated in 17. Like she's still
Yeah,
playing.
I know. Well, so many of these kids end up having extra years. I mean, I got 4. That was it. You didn't get
Yeah,
5. You were lucky if you even got 4, and you move on after that. And she's just one of those that everyone says, well, not, most of us here as aren't going to go and play collegiately. And then those of you that do go play collegiately aren't necessarily going to go play international, or they're not going to necessarily play in the Olympics. So there's more about volleyball than the actual sport. But she's one of those kids that gets to go on and gets to do that, and makes a name for herself um, with the USA team, and which is pretty cool. And it's fun, just even from a motherly aspect, to be able to like just have known her when she was, I won't say little, but younger, and
yeah.
then get to watch her grow up and mature as an adult. I mean, she's someone now that could walk in the door and we could sit down and have an adult conversation. And it's fun as a coach. I think that's part of the reason I really enjoy being a coach, is because you get to build relationships outside of just volleyball.
Jumping back to Liberty Christian, just kind of looking at your roster from last year, looks like you didn't really graduate much, maybe 3 or 4 kids, but obviously the big shoes to fill is Reagan. You mentioned her, Reagan Pfeiffer, who primarily a setter, but she was a tall kid. She could hit, block, defend, all state,
Yeah.
all area. Now she's at Houston. Um, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but even though it was just 1 year, just what was it like to coach Reagan?
I honestly felt like it was like, I mean, she was the epitome of what I felt like I was in high school. I was not as tall as her. I wasn't as powerful as her. I wish I could have been. Um, but I always say if I had just been a little bit taller, I could have gone a little bit bigger. But it was very eye-opening, I would say, to coach somebody that is that determined and that competitive, but because she's also very even keeled. Like, she's very aggressive, but she is such a leader because she doesn't let the small things get to her. And that was huge for us, because there would be things on the court that would happen. I would change up. I did a lot, especially for the first half of the season. I do a lot of changing up of lineups. I don't want my kids to get comfortable with each other, because you never know what's going to happen. If somebody goes down, you never know who's going to come out there. So I always threw out different lineups. And the reason I think it worked was because she bought in. And having a kid like that buy into your program and buy into your coach and what they're asking makes everybody else on the team very cool, calm, collected. So I will always thank her for that. And that's the type of person that I hope to have every year, at least a senior or a junior every year like that. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to be able to have that this year. Quite a few of them. She is a big shoe to replace, but it's just this year, I don't want to like give everything away, but this year the dynamic is just different. We are going to have, we don't have a setter that's as big as her, but we had some move-ins. We are returning 12 of our 15 state roster. And we had a freshman move in who's pretty impressive, to say the least, in the middle. We have one of our JV, which will be a sophomore, middles is going to be, those two are going to be pretty prominent in the middle for us. And that's going to make things easier for us to move the middle that we had, who's not really a true middle, Tori Garrett, will be able to move her outside. And so that'll make us more of a threat all the way across. We've got 2 great outsides, our 2 senior outsides, Tori on the outside or the right side. These 2 young middles that are about, I would say, I want to say they're about 6'2". Jazzy might be 6'3". So we're still going to have a huge front line, which I think is very beneficial to us. So filling the shoes, setter wise, height, physicality, that's not going to happen. But we do have 2 setters that are of different, they're just of different caliber. I would say they're much more vocal. they're a lot louder. They're not as even, I won't say they're as even keeled. They're not as quiet as Reagan, but we need that from them with not having such a big presence from a setter, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I almost feel like Reagan was sort of just another assistant coach, but she was playing.
yeah, because she understood what I was asking of her. Some of those kids that, because we were pretty young last year, and I mean, we had a lot of sophomores. And so what I was asking of them as far as a faster offense is concerned, a lot of the kids were not understanding that I mean, they understood that I wanted lower sets, but I was like, I want faster offense, even if it's off the net, on the net, off the net. I want to run the big back row. And then I want us to, we were changing up our defense so often. I mean, we change up our defense sometimes every 6 or 7 points just to be strategic and throw off the other side. Some other teams catch on to it, some other teams don't. But it's what is, I think, is expected of them in college. I know it's expected of them in college. And so, in a sense, like a lot of these kids at Liberty, they want to go play in college. So if they want to go play in college, I'm going to treat them as if what they are going to be, what the expectations would be in college from their coaches to know. And we have 4 different defenses that we would switch and rotate through. But like you said, yeah, an assistant coach, she wouldn't coach them, but you know what I mean? Like she worded it in the right way. She imitated how to play or how to be a leader by her actions, not her words.
Awesome. Yeah, just a terrific player, and we look forward to big things in Houston. Talking with Megan DeGroot, volleyball coach at Liberty Christian. Um, we kind of talked a little bit about this, but now you've coached the UIO and TAPS. Is there anything you kind of learned about TAPS volleyball that you maybe didn't see in the UIO?
There are far few less teams.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. When you come in and they were like, we're in 5A, we probably only have 1 more year. This will be our last year of 5A, and then we'll go back up to 6A. And I was like, okay, 6A. And they're like, well, there's only 16 teams in 6A. I was like, what?
Yeah. 6A is even fewer teams.
Right. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I didn't realize that. And I knew that Liberty was smaller. I don't know. It didn't comprehend to me.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I've learned. I've also learned that, well, here's an example. It's kind of funny. Whenever I got hired, it was like a couple days into tryouts. I went into the AD's office and I was like, hey, I need to renew my CDL. Is there anybody here that can help me with that? Where's your bus barn? And he looked at me all crazy. And I was like, don't I drive the bus? Like, cause I mean, I drove, that's what I've always had to do in a public school. And he was like, no, we charter bus here. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? We get a charter bus? He's like, yeah, there's Wi-Fi on the bus too. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, so things like that, I blew my mind. They definitely, what I have thoroughly enjoyed about this, nothing against any of the other public schools I've ever worked for, but sometimes I can be a bit of a control freak. And so I enjoy the fact that they let me take care of my bus requests, my schedule, my invoices, my budget, like all of those things I get hands-on with. Now, if I need help, they're willing to help me, but they definitely are very hands-off. And unless you come for help. And so I've enjoyed that part. I feel a little more I won't say in control, but I'm not here just coaching. Like I'm actually doing more of like a business, if you will. And it helps me build the program, look long-term. What can we do for the girls long-term? One of the things we want to do next year, we're going to Orlando this year for a tournament. And next year we want to go to Hawaii. And so those are the things that being able to see the budget and be hands-on allows me to prepare in the future.
Yeah.
For the program, right.
I mean, hey, I'm from Hawaii, so whatever you need help with that, I'm your guy.
It's the Ann King or Ann
Yeah.
King.
Ann King. Boswell Girls, Salt Lakes. I think maybe you went with Salt Lake.
I did, and I loved it. We had so much fun. It was such an experience for the girls. The parents here are so supportive. They're like, whatever we got to do. I'm not asking them to pay for the whole trip. We had to do a lot of fundraising here. The girls wanted a lot of things this year. They wanted to remodel their locker room. They wanted to go to Orlando. They wanted new jerseys and all those things. And so that is different in regards to you can ask for money, you can fundraise as much as you want. We can have as many camps as we want to. So that has helped tremendously. It's a little more laxed, if you will, than UIL. But on the flip side, you have to be a little more politically correct on everything, and how you word things and what you say, which I think is really anywhere.
Yeah, whatever, hopefully you get to Hawaii and, try to make friends with the Hawaii team, and you'll just see how much love those parents have for your kids. So
For
awesome.
sure, believe it.
We got a couple of minutes here, but we just want to jump back to this fall tryouts coming up. August 7th is the official day we can keep wins and losses. But again, you kind of talked about it. A lot of experience back, 12 returners back. But you can it's different, obviously, because you have that year under your belt. You're not really necessarily running around, just trying to figure the season out. But as the defending champ, just talk about that. And is there a target you feel like on your back? Is there pressure to win again?
For sure. I think even before last year, I think Liberty is one of those schools. Almost every school I feel like I've worked at, there's always a target on your back. They wanted to always take Southlake down. They wanted to be known for the person who beat Southlake. They always, my first year at Argyle, we were in the state finals, and everybody always wanted to take down Argyle because they had won state, previous years after that. And then same thing here. So definitely a target on our back. And I don't think that's ever going to go away. And that's something I always stress to the girls is people want to beat Liberty. And people want like that is they could go the entire year, never win state, but hey, we beat Liberty. Remember that game? We beat Liberty. Kind of like making sure that's, I won't say burned into their brain, but that they understand how good they have it here and how blessed they are, and how big of the opportunity is for them to be so good. To be honest with you, and I've already told them this, I've been pretty lax this summer. But even the seniors understand this, that winning it last year was huge. It was awesome. It was a great feeling, but winning it 2 years in a row, winning it as defending state champions, that's even bigger. Because it kind of shows, hey, it wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just because we worked really hard and we had really good players. That's not necessarily what we want people to remember. We're building a legacy. We're building an empire. It's not just a 1 year, a 2 year. We're trying to go 3 years, and making sure that the girls understand that they have to have that in focus, but you've got to focus every day. How are we going to get there? Like day 1, tryouts, day 2, it's the here and now, and focusing on, I guess, the process instead of the end goal. And that's definitely something these girls were really good at last year. And I'm definitely pushing it even heavier this year. Now that they understand who I am and I understand how Liberty and TAPS works, I think it's going to be it's going to be pushed a lot more as far as taking care of your business in the court every single day to get to that end goal.
And lastly, we got about 60 seconds here. Just schedule-wise, again, August 7th and 8th are the start of the regular season. Who do you open up with? What are some tournaments you have?
So we're playing Lake Country on the 8th, and then we end up playing, I had it here, it was Lake Country, and then we're at Spike Down that weekend in Fort Worth. Then the next week we end up playing in the Fort Worth Christian tournament. We end up playing Gunner and on the 29th, and then turn around at 9 a.m. and leave for Orlando the next morning, the 30th. And we're gone for 6 days in Orlando. We're actually on the same flight as Argyle. They're going to. And Grapevine and Flower Mound. So I would imagine we may see them out there. I'm like, we flew all this way
I know.
just to play everybody here. But so those are some, and then we come back the day we come back, or the next day after Labor Day, we end up playing Aubrey. So
Right.
we've got a really pretty tough schedule in August. I mean, we have 3 tournaments in August: Gunner, Aubrey, Lake Country,
Yeah.
uh, Cedar Hill, Plano. I'm pretty sure those are all in, I want to
Yeah.
say August.
I mean, Gunner, 3A state champ, Aubrey, 4A state runner-up. Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
good to have a tough schedule in August and September. So
absolutely. We're so excited. If we can get through August, I think that the rest of the way is going to be, I won't say easy, but it's definitely going to set the tone.
awesome, terrific. Well, we wish you the best of luck for you and your girls this season, and we'll be looking forward to watching you guys. We'll try to come up to a few games. But yeah, good luck this season, and thanks for joining me. That's Megan DeGroot, the head volleyball coach at the Argyle Liberty Christian Warriors. Thanks again, Megan, and thanks for you guys to joining us. Another episode of the Game Time with the Goss. Hopefully, you enjoy your rest of your day and the rest of your week.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.